Nerds for Life SuperCoach. I'm your host, Peter. And what a week it was. Fantastic week. I am actually pretty happy with my score overall. Nailed my captain. Absolutely nailed my captain. And look, I had some ordinary scores as well in the tail end, yes. But before we get into the specifics, we've got a lot to cover. So we've got rookies on the bubble, we've got Premos who have fallen, we've got DPP changes, we've got your questions as well. There's a lot to cover. We've got the weekly winner as well. But before we get into that, please make sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify. It's Nerds for Life SC. We're also on Facebook. This is where we post all the content in relation to sub changes. I saved a couple of people there who actually traded in Dudley and were able to trade Dudley out real quick just before he was subbed. Also, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, X as well. So just make sure to cover us there. But the other thing I wanted to mention was I do post articles on Inside F Sports. So let's take a look at that. Inside Fantasy Sports on their Patreon. If you sign up using the word nerds or the code nerds, it does support us because, there's a lot of time that goes into making this kind of content throughout the season and pre-season. So if you want to support us, this is how you do it. You just can follow Inside F Sports on Patreon and subscribe using the word nerds, and that'll support this page. It'll support them too because they post a lot more. To be honest, they post a little bit more than I do. There's a lot of good stuff on their Patreon, so do check it out. I myself am a subscriber too because I can't get enough of SuperCoach content. Honestly, I listen to way too much for my own good. So back to this week, massive week. I had a couple of good scores. My captain was Brayshaw. He scored a whopping 155. Max Gorn's back, 145 as well. Had some decent scores from Horn Francis, Caleb Daniel, Connor Rosie's shift to halfback. So glad I held him. Adam Chera, 117 as well. Was nice. My backline did not deliver like I thought it would though. Sheasel 102 and 104 were just okay scores. We've got a lot of, some average scores in there and some amazing scores. I had Reed score a 104, but he was stuck on my bench. I really couldn't do much to put him on, unfortunately. So that was upsetting. Bailey Humphrey hasn't really delivered since I've brought him in, but it looks like Marek hasn't really delivered either. I think both have just been really average picks. Marek probably the better one not by much, really. 40 points better over the course of 2 weeks. Not 40 points each week, just 40 points overall better. So, he was cheaper. He's got DPP as well. You wouldn't have put him in your midfield anyway. Both were kind of average. Humphrey has Richmond this week, while McGovern could play this week for Marriage, so his scoring could be down significantly. Let's see what happens. I think the experiment of Marek and Humphrey is still up in the air as to which one was more successful, because McGovern could be back this week and Marek could go back to scoring 70s, and maybe Humphrey has a pretty big score against Richmond. So let's see how that turns out. We'll move on to the group winner because I did have a good score of 2,116. I'm sitting 4,000th and something at the moment, so I'm happy with that. But moving on to the group winner rankings. Is this where it tells me? I don't do this on... my current ranking is 4,060th. So I'm kind of happy with that. I'm I'm moving in the correct direction. I moved up about 800 spaces. I'm happy with the way that I'm progressing. Now, I'm just going to the group winner. Let's take a look. Round 6. No, I went round 5. Sorry. As I'm recording this. Round 5. Yep. That's awesome. Why won't it tell me who the group winner is? That is annoying. Maybe leagues? Do leagues do it? Why is it not telling me view league? was he on? Oh, yes, points scored. Perfect. There we go. So I'm just trying to remember how to do this live. So we've got Mongolian Princesses. Princesses? Yeah, by Philip. Scored a whopping 2,421. So he beat my score by about 200 points. Fantastic. He jumped up 17,000 places to sit. Now he's sitting with an overall rank of 2,709th. Some of these scores are nuts, but this is it. 2,421. Let's take a look. He had Brayshaw as captain. He's got Sinclair Sheasel Sicily as a POD defender. He's got Farrell, Rice, Bice, Reed, Pryor on the bench, Leake, awesome. So he got doesn't own trainer, which is interesting. Brayshaw, Miller, Rosie, Chera, Oliver, Callahan, Reed, Long, with Moraes, Travalia, and Henderson. I am so glad I didn't go from... So when Dudley was named as sub, I traded out Dudley and I brought Nathan O'Driscoll back in. I'd rather just have Nathan O'Driscoll back in my team and not trade in a guy that was going to be sub. And I was tempted to go to Travalia, who was my third best favourite rookie. And I'm just so glad I didn't, because that score is disgusting. And I think his BE is like really high. Yeah, his break even's now 44. So no, I'm so glad I didn't swing to Travalia. He had Henderson on the bench too. English did all right. Gorn on field. Wow. Horn Francis, McRae, Smith, Daniel Parker, Hewitt, Lindsay, and got Corey Warner's score looped in. To be honest, his team's good. His team's really good, but he's had some really average scores in there, and he's had some players who a lot of people are jumping off. Like, you know, guys like Oliver, Callahan, Farrell, people are jumping off them. You know, Parker, for example, English. And he's held them through, and he's had that massive score. So sometimes, look, I've actually had, well done as well, by the way, Philip. I've actually held, and this is the thing, I said at the start of the year that I was going into this season with a few rules that I have not adhered to this year, in the last 2 years. And I've had some pretty average seasons as a result. So the first one was at absolutely no circumstance, unless it's maybe the last upgrade of the year or something like that, and we're at the tail end of the season, will I go early on a rookie? So I will rather make no trades if there are no bubble boys available, then go early on a rookie. That was the first thing. I will not be panic trading. So I will not be going sideways on Premos, on mid prices or anything until I've finished my team. And I will hold players until the buy just to see if there is a turnaround, because often you freak out, you trade out a player, and that player bangs home at 120 the day you trade him out. I will not be trading out rookies until their break even is roughly, where their BE is close to their average, which is what we should be doing anyway. But sometimes you go early on players because you start to panic, you start to make dumb moves. And these are the things that I really want to stick by. I wanted to stick by a calmer sort of approach. I wanted to reserve boosts. I wanted to reserve trades. I really wanted to just hold it out. And so far, it's done me good. Like, in the years gone by, at least the last couple of years, I probably would have traded out guys like Harry Sheasel when he looked like his roller changed and his scoring wasn't great. Connor Rosie the same. Lockie Neal the same. Max Gorn. Jason Horn-Francis. These were guys that people were jumping off in the masses. Like, literally the week that Harry Sheasel, 6,000 people traded a Harry Sheasel and he went like 140 something. Lockie Neal, same sort of thing. Rosie, the same thing. Horn-Francis, over 20,000 people traded him out. Close to 25,000 over a 2-week period of time. And he's banged home two really good scores in the last 2 weeks. Max Gorn, I can't believe how many people jumped off Max Gorn. He's averaging 110 for the season so far. And he's had two really good results the last couple of weeks as well. I honestly think holding your Premos is the way to go. I tried my best to not start mid-prices. I really did. That was another rule that I had. I really limited myself to to the mid prices I did start. I didn't want to start too many guys that were breakout season players. I think I only started Matt Roberts in that breakout season player bubble. So I wanted only one, so I started Matt Roberts. Chera and Oliver were fallen Premos. McRae and Daniel the same. They have previous history, so I was happy to start them. And so far, that has all kind of served me well. So I'm going to stick to it, especially when it comes to Matt Roberts. Now, I did write an article for Inside F Sports as to why I'm holding Matt Roberts. In a nutshell, as to why I'm holding Matt Roberts. He's got a break-even of 125. Yeah, he's going to lose money this week. That's fine. I'm fully aware of that. But his last two scores have been only... Let's take a look. They've been a 77 and a 79. Lockie Neal scored a 41 round one. This is not too bad of a score. Matt Roberts also... I'm just going to put it out there. He actually... I know that he's now sharing with Riley Bice and Blakey that defensive role, and Roberts is kind of in amongst there, and it means that Blakey, Bice, and Roberts are going to have... They're going to pepper the 80s, and I know that. I do know that. But that's not too bad either. I think I just prefer to I just prefer to fix the team around these guys. And if they're peppering the 80s and the 90s, and they'll smack out some hundreds as well, I'm okay with that. And then when it comes to finishing my team, then look at upgrading, maybe to a Sinclair or something, someone that I've missed. Because he's not going to lose. He's still going to be floating around the 450 to 480 range if he's peppering those kind of numbers. But the other thing is, he actually didn't have a bad game against Collingwood. He had 24 disposals. He was their second highest disposal getter. Sydney only had 2 players score above 90 on the night. Two players. It was just not their night. If you look at it, he hasn't played that badly. He's still got kickouts. Take a look at his kickouts. He actually had more kickouts than Riley Bice did last week. And the week before that, he only had 1 less than Riley Bice. So he's still got kick-out duties. He's still playing across the half-back line. The game that Riley Bice went absolutely mental against North Melbourne, Roberts did play more of a wing role, but he was back at that half-back role against Collingwood. He had 7 turnovers, which really hurt his scoring. But if he fixed that up, he was in the mid-80s. I actually don't think he's a trade-out. I think that he's just a wait and see. Hold him until his bye and then reassess at that point. He's still got kickouts. He's still getting the footy. He's still got that half-back role. It's just, it's probably not a 105 average guy that we thought that he was going to be. He's probably now... at best, a 95 average guy at best, which is annoying, don't get me wrong, but hypothetically, what happens if Blakey gets injured? What happens if Riley Bice gets injured? Matt Roberts suddenly becomes very relevant all over again. We saw people jump off Matt Roberts last year when his scoring started to drop, and then his end of season was just amazing. I wouldn't be jumping off Matt Roberts just yet. He has the ability to score 120 really easily. So I myself am holding him for now until his bye and just kind of reassess it. And I think, look, you do what you like. If you can turn him into a Whitfield or a Sinclair, I understand, the advantages to that, but I just don't see. Look, honestly, if you've already made a lot of sideway trades, I wouldn't be doing another one. I really would not be. I'd be trying to fix your team and actually doing an upgrade. And when I say an actual upgrade, I mean that you now have more premium players on the field than what you started with, because a lot of people have been wasting trades with moving mid prices that haven't worked out, like a Fraser or a Perryman or a Peatling, or Premos that haven't delivered, and then they're starting to trade them away into other Premos, and that's all fine for corrections, but you've got the same amount of Premos as what you started with. The guys that have then just held those Premos and are now actually upgrading their team, they're going to be 1 or 2 Premos ahead of you real fast, and that's going to really hurt you in the long run, because you're not going to be able to catch up. So just think about it. Just think about it. Look at your lines. Take a look at the guys that you're actually fielding. and seeing, are these good options for you? Because if you're sideways trading Roberts, and then you've still got, I don't know, Kako on field, that's bad. That's really bad. So just look at your overall team, see if you can actually improve your team rather than jumping. I would rather have Roberts scoring an 80 this week on field than fielding Kako's 38 and then turning Roberts into a Lockie Whitfield. I really would, because hypothetically Kako goes 40 and Matt Roberts goes 80, but you've got Lockie Whitfield in. Great, he scored a 120 for you. Fantastic. All right, you've improved your side by 40 points. But you haven't really, because Kako still scored a 40, right? If you've kept Roberts and Roberts scores an 80, and you've been able to improve, let's just say upgrade some rookies, and now you've gotten a guy that goes 100, like a Bailey Smith, for example, right? You're actually better off having Roberts score an 80 and Bailey Smith score 100 than what you are having Roberts turned into Whitfield scoring a 120 and Kako scoring a 40 on field. Mathematically, you're better off by getting another Premo on field than trying to fix up a guy that's scoring average. It's just the way it is, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I myself am doing this. I'll show you what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Except I've actually updated this. Sorry, I've actually let's go back to this. Undo changes. Let's take a look. So I have traded out Nathan O'Driscoll this week. I've traded out Moraes and Henderson. Okay, they're the rookies that I think that are kind of done with their cash generation. Moraes you could hold for another week, but they are kind of done. I've traded in Gross, Smith, and Cleary, and I will go into why I've done all of that. Now, I think that there are four main players on the bubble this week. The first one is Tom Gross. He's got a negative 65 break even. He's projected to go up at 50k. Honestly, he's going to go up probably more than that. He's $113,000 and he plays Essendon. Now he's been getting CBA time. He scored a 51 and an 82, and he's looked really good. He's looked better than Hall has so far, even though Hall is still making us some cash, which is nice. I think that he is probably the number one option when it comes to trade-ins this week. Number two is Caden Cleary. He's got a lower break-even of negative 73. His projected score is only a 49. I think he goes higher than that, and he's gonna make about 55k this week. He scored a 66 and an 81 in his last two games. He's a forward. He's actually playing more across half back. He's good, but he did get a lot of tackles last week. He's probably not going to be able to keep that up. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't score as highly as that. I'd be having Caden Cleary on my bench personally. But they're the two best options. I think that both are kind of must-haves, and that's why I'm making a move. They're going to make you a lot of money over the next few weeks. And I personally think that they are both must-haves. But the other two, which I don't mind too much, is Sandy Brock. He's got a negative 60 break-even. His basement price, $99,000. He's defender. His projected score is 35, and he's going to go up 41k. But he's probably going to score higher than that. Scored an 80 round 4 and a 39 round 5. This is a guy that's playing as a lockdown defender. I wouldn't have him on field. My defense is quite average at the moment. I've moved Hasty back there. At least he's playing. And Peyton's still in the side. I've got Reed as a flex, so I do have a defense. Like, there are defenders playing. I just wanted to move Hasty. I just think that Reed's scoring well, so I kind of just want to put him in the flex position at the moment. I just want to have him out there. Look, you could, if you've got a defense like mine, you could go Brock. I don't mind it, but my only concern is McGovern could be back this week. So if McGovern's back this week, because he's listed as a test, it's going to kill Marich's score, but it's also going to potentially knock Brock out of the team. So just keep an eye on that. The other one is Sard El Hawley. Oop. Help if I can spell. Oh my god. 119k defender mid. He's got a negative 11 break even. He plays West Coast. Usually I would say that this is a really good matchup because Collingwood the next week they don't tag and North Melbourne the week after. But honestly, he has spent the last 2 weeks as the sub, as the starting sub, and got subbed in round 5 pretty early on. Yes, for Nick Bryan, but the reality is another tall target's coming in for Nick Bryan, which is probably Goldstein. So does that mean Sard El Hawley is a sub again for a 3rd week in a row? And that's highly likely. So I don't actually like Sard El Hawley purely because of the sub risk at the moment. He's a massive sub risk. He's gotten the double sub, so I wouldn't go there myself. And I think that he's kind of a fade at this point. Brock only if you've got the other two, but I don't know why you would have the other two. I think these are the two main cash generators for the rest of this for this week anyway, and I think they'll be the two best ones for some time as well. So I think that they're essential. While I'm correcting a player who I didn't start, and that is Bailey Smith, $458,000. Still a good price. I know he's gone up about 60k. I know that. I'm aware. I'm late to the party, but I did start Isaac Rankin and Horn Francis. My forward line's looking pretty good. Next week, I'm bringing Christian Petrarca, provided he doesn't get injured this week, and I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Let's go to Christian Petrarca, who has DPP status, by the way. So he's been given forward status. He's got a break even of 101 and he plays against Fremantle. His last 2 games have been an 85 and 122 against the Dockers. So he's been peppering the 90s, a 98, a 78, an 80, a 92 and a 96. I know these don't scream pick me. I really know they don't. But he's just gotten forward status. He's 483k. Even if he hits his break even, he's not going to go up or down much. He's going to be below 500k still next week, regardless of what he does, which is great. I mean, he could go 150 and maybe he'll be peppering a 500k. But I think that for a keeper, he is my last forward, and I'm probably really going to go for him. He plays Richmond and West Coast in his next 2 games. He had bulk CBAs again. So he's been playing a lot of forward since round 1. But last week, he actually had bulk CBAs. He had the most CBAs for a Melbourne midfielder. He didn't kick a goal. So he actually kicked 2 behinds, which is the only game that he hasn't kicked a goal in so far. He kicks a goal, he would have turned up last week. If he kicked one of those 2 behinds, he would have turned up last week, and that would have been fantastic for him. I think that he is coming good very soon. There's something about it. Look, if these are bad games and he's still peppering the 90s, imagine when he starts kicking himself into gear. He's getting CBAs again. He's able to have an impact and drip forward. He's got Richmond and West Coast in 2 weeks. He's got, honestly, imagine bringing him in just before Richmond and he goes 100 plus. Then he's got West Coast and he goes 100 plus again. I just say, and his finish to the year is actually really strong with, North Melbourne, St Kilda, West Coast, Collingwood, who don't tag. I kind of want this guy in my team. I really do. And as my D6, you could be doing a lot worse. Now, there's a lot of other options as well. There's Nick Martin too. So Nick Martin's been added forward status. He's more expensive at 516k and he's got a higher break even. He's got West Coast this week. Hasn't really had the start of the year that you would hope. A 74, 91, 88, and 108. That's a decent game against Melbourne. He does have West Coast, Collingwood, and North Melbourne next, so we could see some pretty decent games from him. I like Nick Martin as an option. I just like Petrarca better because he's cheaper, personally. I don't hate this option. Essendon have a good, the next 6 games are solid. He's not getting a tag against Sydney, so he might actually score well over the next 6 games. I don't mind this as an option personally. But one person I'm not a fan of is Warner. And I'll tell you why. Chad Warner has also been given forward status. He's cheap, 499k. He's got a break even at 163. He's going to dump money. He's going to be 450k real quick. But his scoring's been absolutely all over the place. 115, 78, 122, 54, and 81. Yes, he's turned up unlike Petrarca, but I'd rather get a 90 from Petrarca than a 54 from Warner. I know that he was ill that game and blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. He's playing a lot more forward, and Callum Mills is about to come back, which means that Warner's CBA time is only going to lessen, not improve. It's going to lessen when Callum Mills is back in a week or two. So I really don't like that pick. Peatling's been given forward status as well, so you could shift Peatling up forward if you're still holding him. But honestly... Oh, and the other one I don't mind is Draper if Goldstein doesn't come back too. He's been given forward status, so just keep an eye out on him. I did bring him into my draft league because I think he might score well as the sole ruckman if he is sole ruckman. But right now, we've got a decent amount of forward options. Like, I actually think that Horn, Francis, Rankin, McRae, Smith, and Daniel end up being the top 5 forwards for the season. It's just who's top 6. You know, you got Luke Jackson when he's back, but he does have Sean Darcy to compete with, so his scoring will fluctuate. You've got, you know, Nick Martin, Christian Petrarca, Chad Warner's there too. I just think Petrarca is the best option out of the forwards that we've been given so far. I just think that he is the best option up forward, and I'm going to bring him in. I could switch to a Nick Martin if he's doing well later. Let's just say, you know, towards the end of the year, Christian Petrarca doesn't work out. You know, maybe I go to Nick Martin later. I think both are perfectly fine options. But based on form, you know, Nick Martin's at least turned up. But I just think that Petrarca's big games are bigger, and yeah, I just see more of an output coming for him. So next week, that's the guy that I'm trading in. Another one I want you to keep an eye on is Tom Stewart. He'll be 450k next week as well. His break even is really high. Now, he was meant to be peaking this week in terms of price wise. So he's got 483k. He's got a break even of 162. He's gonna probably drop another 40k, which is fine. His projected score 73. That's not gonna happen. He's gonna score higher than that. But his scoring's actually been okay since his injury affected game, 109 and 118. I think that his scoring is good enough to be a top 6 defender. I do like him. I would be going for Stewart if it wasn't for the fact that I think my defense is fine at the moment. Whitfield, Sheasel, Clark, they're keepers in my books. Bison Trainer are scoring well, and so is Zach Reed. So, and with Robert still on the team, bringing in Stewart means I'm going to have to put another defender on my bench. So I would rather fix my midfield and my forward line and finish those and then work out defenders later, because there's a lot of defensive options anyway, then focus further on my defense. I feel like the rookies in defense are scoring well enough to just ride it out and upgrade later. I just think that I want Petrarca against West Coast and Richmond more than I want Stewart at 450k. Stewart, you could probably wait a week, honestly, and he'll still be under 500k most likely the week after. So Stewart's the one that I'm considering over the next couple of weeks. Nick Dacos, that's as cheap as you're going to get him, by the way, 484k. He's got a break even of 121. He'll probably hit that. So he'll stay under 600k probably for the next couple of weeks. He looked really good. He was able to shake the James Jordan tag. Against Essendon, he can go massive, but they've been tagging a little bit. So have Geelong. So just keep an eye out on that. I think if you're looking at a midfielder, Nick Dacos is probably the best one to get in terms of price. We really want to be targeting this at this time of year, guys, below 600k. Like that's what we want to be targeting. If you're looking for a midfielder, he is probably the best one in the competition right now in terms of price and output. But again, like I'm going for Bailey Smith because I think that at 450k, 58k, he's still at a great price. I'm still getting him at a bargain, and he's a top 6 defender, a forward. So it's now the time to strike. It also means that I have a Geelong player. So Monday's game is going to be interesting for me. I have a stake in it because I don't have any Hawthorn players. So I've got something in that game, so I get to watch it and actually enjoy it. We'll move on to questions now. I just asked about questions simply like a few minutes before recording, so I don't expect many. I have 5 questions. Okay, that's surprising considering when I asked. But let's take a look at Facebook first. Carissa Vote, let's see. On a scale from 1 to Ben Cousins on a 8... Okay. How fucked is your cash generation right now? It's pretty messed up. Actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I've got cash generating players on field and on the bench. Backline's not generating much, but Cleary on bench, Hall on bench, Kako on bench is still making me money. Hopefully Camporelli plays soon again. Hopefully Payton plays soon again. Honestly, Marshall's not looking good. So Harry Boyd hopefully will get a game. Maybe they rest Marshall. Marshall's going to be really up. Like, look at this. Like, he's going to be 196 break even. He's 500. He's going to be 450k very soon. His scoring's been shithouse, but he started off the year pretty well. I just want to point out that Rowan Marshall had a couple of 50s last year early on as well. So he started really well, then he shat the bed for 2 weeks, and then he just exploded after that. So this is kind of what Rowan Marshall does sometimes. Honestly, I wouldn't be bringing him in this week, but if Rowan Marshall scores 100 this week, I might have to reconsider my... I genuinely might have to reconsider my Petrarca plan and just go Rowan Marshall into flex, because at 450k, you could potentially be getting a top 3 ruckman. And he's got a great buy as well. So he is one to definitely keep an eye out on. And he might be right for the picking. So do keep an eye out on him. Sorry, I got a little bit off track there. Christopher Mano. Double downgrade this week and hold a 4th boost. Or use 4th boost to bring in a premium, aka Dacos. The 4th boost. Look, to be honest, I would say, yeah, double downgrade this week and hold a 4th boost, or use the 4th boost to bring in a premium. If you can bring in Dacos, I like it. I actually like it. I think the double downgrade is important because of the quality of rookies. I don't see the quality of rookies being like this for a few more weeks. So maybe just take the quality rookies now, get some cash generation, and Nick Dacos is at a great price. I don't know who you're trading out, of course. It all depends on who you're trading out, but I think that's a good option. Oliver Hanks, is Nick Dacos a must trade in this week, and is it an issue if you're low on boost this early? I don't like being low on boost. I'm using my 2nd boost for the year. I've really tried to reserve those as much as possible. Nick Dacos is a must-have. Look, it really depends from team to team. I wouldn't be trading out like a Callahan to him, but if you can trade out a 3 rookies. Let's just say you could trade out 3 rookies to get to Nick Dacos. I do like that. I definitely do like that. It's who you're trading out. He is a must-have if you're able to get to him. I think so. Yeah, I think he is personally. But I can't get to him this week because I'm choosing to hold Davidson and Lindsay. I'm choosing to hold these 2 and Humphrey. Because Humphrey should do well against Richmond this week. Davidson should do well at Marvel against St Kilda this week. And Lindsay's about to restart his cash generation. Because that 48 is not an accurate reflection of his output. He had really low time on ground. I think about 70% because they were easing him back into the game after the injury. So his time on ground is going to improve again this week, and I can see a much better score. That poor score due to him being subbed out is going to roll out of his 3-game average, and it's going to kickstart his cash generation again because his break-even is going to drop. Sam Davidson, I can see scoring his break-even this week and potentially going higher. I can see a 70-plus score very easily coming out of him this week. So I plan on holding him for just that decent on-field score. While Humphrey as well, I just see a decent on-field score. So I can't get to Dacos, but I can easily turn, and that's probably what I'm doing. I'm probably turning Bailey Humphrey and Sam Davidson into a Premo next week. I'm most likely looking at Petrarca or Rowan Marshall. So they're my kind of next week moves, but that's a decent amount of cash because both should make some coin this week as well. So, you know, Davidson will hopefully be over 300k. Bailey Humphrey might make another 20k as well, about 360, close to 370k. And that would be great. That would honestly be a perfect outcome. So, hopefully that answers your question. Would you trade any of these rookies this week? Reed, Davidson, O'Sullivan. I think Reed I would not trade. Davidson, I wouldn't trade, depending on who you're going to, of course. If it means securing a Nick Dacos, I don't hate it. But I wouldn't be trading out Reed, no. He's still got more money to make. I'm pretty sure his break-even's low. His break-even's still a negative 60. Don't trade out Zach Reed. What the shit? Don't do that. Don't do that. He's got West Coast this week. Oh my god, he's going to score so well. Don't do that. He's going to make another 50k this week, apparently. So just keep him. Do not do that. Connor O'Sullivan's break-even is now at a point where you could do it. I mean, he's been great for us. But 31 break-even, he could still make another 20. I think he's got 20k still in him. I really do. His scoring has mostly been okay. He did have a down game against Adelaide. But if you're going to trade out anyone, I would trade out him. But yeah, I would trade out him. Who to VC out of Zorko? But you could hold him, by the way, Matthew. You could still hold him. Who to VC out of Zorko, Neil, or Dacos? I'll get to Aaron Fellows said that. I'll get to VCs and Cs in a moment, so I'll answer that question soon. But out of all three of them, I suppose, I wouldn't be touching Neil. Dacos is scoring. Zorko's scoring has been quite low recently. Maybe Dacos had a really good game on the weekend. Daniel Rowley, if you have unlimited funds, who are the best to trade in this week? Unlimited funds. You have unlimited funds. Okay. If you have unlimited funds, all right, I would be bringing in Zach Merritt. Okay, hear me out. I would love to bring in Zach Merritt or Noah Anderson. Anderson against Richmond, I think that he's going to go absolutely nuts. If you had unlimited funds, I love this. Look at his last three games against Richmond. 128, 122, 144. He's turned up in every game this year. Fuck, I really love Noah Anderson in this game. Or Zach Merritt. Zach Merritt's more expensive, so I'd probably prefer Anderson because you're saving about 100k there. Or 60k or whatever it is. But he's got West Coast, and he destroys West Coast. And West Coast is shit. They're actually worse than Richmond. And he has gone pretty wild himself this year. 145, 100, and 124 have been his last two games. If you have unlimited funds, I really like Zach Merritt, and I really like Noah Anderson as well. So I would say one of them two. I'd be bringing in one of them two this week. Yeah, I really like that. I don't mind a Brayshaw either. His form's been excellent. He hasn't gone below 101, which is in round one. He's gone up every week. Listen to this: 101, 106, 131, 135, 155. He's just going up and up and up. And now he's got Melbourne too. Man, if you've got unlimited funds, I would say those three are the main guys. They are the main guys. Anderson this week, purely because it's the cheapest out of the three. Oof, I don't know which one I prefer, but yeah, any one of them three. I'm sure you have one of those three probably anyway, but I really like those three. I think that those three are the way to go. So that's Facebook. Let's see on X if anyone's had time to send anything in. It is my fault because I posted this very late. Oh my god, I got 5 as well here too. Isn't it? I wonder if I've got any more on Facebook. Let's take a look. Oh, there is a 6th. Someone has just snuck in. All right, let's take a look. Someone's just snuck in. Who was it? All comments. two. No. I had 6. Okay, that's fine. No, it's here. Tim Mitchell has asked me. All right, that's interesting. Tim Mitchell's asked me. He has asked me a question for the podcast. That's insane. All right. I'm over the moon about this. Hi, mate. Keen for your thoughts on priority buying order of fallen Premos. Rosie, LDU, Track, Stewart, Warner. Now, we've covered most of these guys. Haven't covered LDU or Rosie, but Rosie's a gun. Okay, Rosie's an absolute star. So, especially in a half-back role, I would say Rosie's your number one out of these. He's under 500k. I think he's 490-something thousand. He's had 3 really good games. He has looked great at halfback. And also, Port Adelaide, they've got the midfielders to cover him. So that's the thing. They've got Willem Drew. They've got Ollie Wines. They've got Zach Butters, obviously. I think they moved Mead into the midfield, and he's actually naturally a midfielder. So they've got the midfielders to cover Rosie, and Rosie's looked amazing off halfback. So I think that stays. LDU, I actually have been keeping an eye on myself, but I don't know. I know that you made a post about him, Tim. I know 504k, break even at 97. He just hasn't set the world on fire this season, but has been peppering the hundreds, which is good. He's got Richmond and West Coast in a few weeks, so you've got the next month to see if he could turn his form around a little bit. Like, the games between rounds 10 and 13 are pretty solid because you've got Richmond, Collingwood, who don't tag, and West Coast. So I would say, in this order, I would say Rosie, number 1, Track, number 2, because of the scoring he's going to have over the next few weeks, is just going to be sooner. I would say Stewart, number 3, because of price. He's going to be 450k in the next week or so. LDU, I don't like Warner. I've already discussed that I don't like Warner because we're bringing in Callum Mills soon, and that's just going to take further CBAs away from Warner. So that's the order I would rate those guys in, and the order that I would get them in myself. I've already got Rosie, so I'm going for Track and Stewart next, and then I'm thinking of LDU in a month. It's funny how we're both thinking the same thing, which could be could be jinxing ourselves. James Matza, who scores more over the next month, Gawn or Nakos? Gawn. That's because I own him, and that's what I hope. Mister, just Mister. Is Ned Long a play, or is it better to get Tom Gross and bank the cash? Nah, don't go Ned Long. I don't understand why so many people are trading in Ned Long. He's had 3,100 people trade him in. He's scored really well, don't get me wrong, but he scored a 26 the game before that. Literally, a 26 and a 30 this year. Nah, I don't like this at all. I know that he got CBA action. I'm aware of that. I know, but I just don't see the role being consistent enough. His break evens are 28. It's not bad. He's not going to make you enough money. He's already gone up 80k. Like, he's a hold player. He's not a buy player at this stage. I don't like it at all. How many CBAs did he get? I just want to see. Let's take a look. Let's do some live stuff. Let's take a look. He played players. Looking on my phone because I actually don't like the AFL website. I prefer this. He got 29 disposals. He looked pretty good actually. He did look pretty good. 69% disposal efficiency. He had 6 tackles. I mean, that's not something that's staying here. CBAs. You know, he had the second most CBAs behind, Pendlebury, Sidebottom. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm really not. If you're upgrading to Ned Long, I'm not a fan because it's not a true upgrade. Okay, you're going to end up in the same boat as everyone who traded in Marrick and Humphrey, and they're not over the moon about their trade-ins, and I'm one of them. I just can see I don't think he scores well enough to justify it. if you're going down, so let's just say you're going down from a Perryman or a Fraser, I don't hate it. So it depends what you're doing. I just don't... I prefer Tom Gross, because at a minimum he's going to make you cash. I don't think Ned Long makes enough cash, so if he fails, probably only makes about 20, 30, 40k for you. It's not really that great. At least Tom Gross is probably going to make 100k for you. Yeah, not a fan. On a scale from 1 to Ben Kaza, is this Mr. Blunt? Is this the same? Did you ask me the same question on both X and on Facebook? I reckon you did. I reckon you did, because that is the exact same. It is the exact same question. Okay, so I've already answered that. Bolts SC, hey boss, thoughts on keeping Roberts and downgrading 3 rookies instead to get Dacos in? Would Dacos, Cleary and Gross in? Yeah, I love that. I love that. Do that. I'm almost doing that. I'm doing all of that. I'm keeping Roberts. I just can't afford Dacos, but yes, I love that. So do that. I reckon that's pretty solid to me. I reckon do that. That's question time. That's question time done. Let's go to VCs and Cs. All right. So NFL.com.au. Let's jump into here. We've got a really long round this week. It starts Thursday night. Brisbane, Collingwood. If you're going to VC or C anyone, I don't hate anyone from this game. I think Dacos does well enough. Look, Zorko and Neil should do okay. McCluggage is the one that I would be jumping on this game because Collingwood don't tag. If you've got any of those guys, they're fine VCs. But look, personally, I think that there's better options later. Carlton, I don't trust. I just really don't trust him. I don't mind a Tom DeConning in this one if Pitnet's not named because Cherry hasn't looked right, which means TDK could go nuts running off him. I don't really like anyone else from this game. West Coast take on Essendon. I like Zach Merritt. I really do like Zach Merritt in this game. I think that he can go nuts. If you've got Zach Merritt, I'd say he's the best VC option. Moving on to the Saturday game, Melbourne look are a rabble. Their midfield is not doing well enough, and they're losing a lot of points. They're conceding a lot of points. Andy Brayshaw's been absolutely insane, and he's my current VC. So I think that he goes very well in this game. Giants take on Adelaide. I don't really like anyone in this game. Richmond, Gold Coast. If you've got Matt Rowell or Noah Anderson, I'd be smacking either a VC or a C here on them. Then you've got the Sunday game, Port Adelaide, Sydney. I like a Connor Rosie because I reckon James Jordan goes to Zach Butters. But also I'm scared that they know that Rosie's susceptible to a tag, so maybe they just put James Jordan on Rosie anyway. And then let's see if maybe the half back roll was a once off as well. We don't really know, so I wouldn't be putting a VC on Rosie just yet. And I wouldn't be putting one on Zach Butters if he's going to be getting a James Jordan tag. So I wouldn't be putting a VC on anyone from this game. St Kilda Dogs. Apparently Bont is listed as a test, but I wouldn't be bringing him in at that price, and I would not be putting a VC on him. St Kilda, I don't mind a Jack Sinclair at Marvel. I think this is actually a pretty good one if you've got Jack Sinclair. I take it back, the Adelaide and Giants game. Whitfield is most likely going to be my captain if Brayshaw fails. So I take it back. I actually really like Whitfield in that game. And then the last game is Geelong Hawthorn. No one from the Hawks because Geelong do tag, and so I don't really like anyone from the Hawks. And Geelong are going to get a Finn McGuinness tag. It's either going to go to Holmes or a Bailey Smith. So I wouldn't be and then Holmes is actually susceptible to a tag too, so I wouldn't be putting a C on him. That's it. They're my VCs and Cs for the week. Thanks guys for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, like us on X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, or on Spotify if you're listening to this on there. And that's it. I'll be back same time. No, I won't be back next week because next week I'm actually going overseas for the week. So, 2 weeks. I might be able to sneak in one podcast next week before I fly off, but then the week after I won't be here. So I might be back same time, same place next week. Thanks guys for watching.